Hello everyone, this is Daughter Darkness, and today I'm going to be reviewing episode 10, that is the finale of series 11 of Doctor Who, which is the Battle of Ranskoor av Kolos. And Chibnall really seems to like these titles that are difficult to pronounce. This one's even worse than the Suranga Conundrum. And we're back with a Chibnall episode. It's been quite a while. The last one was the Suranga Conundrum 5 weeks ago. And with all four of them, I was kind of lukewarm to them. I didn't think any of them were disasters. I didn't think any of them were masterpieces. It was all kind of just meh in the middle. And this one, it's no different. I really don't have that much good to say about this episode, to be honest. And again, it's not a train wreck, but it's not great either. As finales go, I would say this is probably the most underwhelming of the modern series, because, okay, yeah, it's not wrapping up story arcs or anything like that, that's fine, but it doesn't mean that you can't end the series on a high note. And you know, not wrapping up any of that stuff and just being a standalone story is fine if you're good, and this isn't. In other series, you might have had something like, you know, The Wedding of River Song, or I know for a lot of people, Hellbent tends to be the worst, but at least there, like, they were trying to do something different, and it wasn't kind of underwhelming. You just either liked it or you didn't. This one, it's just a load of nothing. So we've got the Doctor, she's answering these distress calls across this planet that's had a battle on it, and that leads us to another showdown with the one, the only, the greatest, the most memorable villain in the history of Doctor Who. I know, the one that everyone has been clamouring to have him come back. Tim Shaw. Yeah, aside from the teeth thing, Tim Shaw was a fairly forgettable villain in The Woman Who Fell to Earth, and he was fine as the villain for the Doctor's first story. As a recurring villain, not so much. He basically started the Monster of the Week thing that has been this series' biggest problem, is that all the enemies and creatures and whatever, you know, they might have worked to varying degrees, but they've all just been kind of insert monster here that you don't really have anything special going on. The most memorable ones, the Kablam Man and the Pating. Apart from that, there's not really been anything, and Tim Shaw is not really any better here. He's angry and he wants revenge because he got beaten by the Doctor and then sent to this place, and Grr is basically his character as it was in the first one. So the plan itself, it's not bad. He's met these people that have the ability to bend reality with their minds. A fairly interesting concept, and they believe that he is their god. Another interesting concept. And he's combining that with his own technology so he can destroy planets, because grr. The idea of them is really nice, and I think the idea of a people that worship this villain and think that he's a benevolent ruler and all that kind of stuff, it's quite a good idea, and there's a lot to do with this. There's a lot of legroom, certainly enough for a single episode, and shoving in all this extra fluff while making this just resolve itself really quickly, just so we can end up with another showdown with Gurman, it's not the best idea, is it? Because this whole plot basically boils down to, we think that this guy is nice, and then they do something, and then the Doctor comes and says, actually, he's not nice, and they go, oh, I see, he's not nice, I'm going to help you now. Oh, wow, like, I'm completely taken in by this story. And yeah, it all ends up really run-of-the-mill. The Yuks realise that Guruman isn't the person they thought he was, so they help the Doctor stop his plan, and then everyone's happy, we're all hunky-dory, and we move on. And, you know, even the main characters, which have been the focus of a lot of these stories, for the Doctor, Ryan, and Yaz, all three of them, there isn't really that much to do. Yes, you know, the Doctor does actually sort of stop the plan, as the Doctor does, but she's just kind of there for most of the episode. She goes and has this talk with Guruman, and then she just kind of bumbles about before she fixes it. They're basically just there to fill their plot functions. Graham is the only one who has anything going on, and this is the one that feels really forced because they wanted to have a conflict in the final episode, and the biggest one between him and Ryan was resolved in the last episode, so instead they have this random revenge plot. He's decided that if he ever sees Gurman again, then he will kill him because he is responsible for Grace's death. And that's not a bad thing in and of itself, but it's not a payoff of anything, because even in The Woman Who Fell to Earth, Graham doesn't really show any anger towards him because of Grace's death. And going on, yes, he's talked about her in pretty much every episode, but he's never mentioned the fact that he blames Gurman for her death and wants to kill him. And then suddenly Gurman shows up and yes, now I definitely want to kill him. And then predictably, he can't do it because he's too good a person, and he and Ryan freeze him, and yay, now we've got the potential for Gurman to come back. Wonderful. And meanwhile, he's taken these hostages for some reason. And then there's this captain guy who is basically not a character, he's just there. He kind of helps them to save them, and then they all get off, and that's fine. So this is, I think, ended up being my shortest review of the series, and it's the episode I have the biggest problems with, possibly. Yeah, I don't have that much to say about this episode. It's about as run-of-the-mill, dull, and uninspired as it's possible for a finale to be. And yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed by this episode, I'm gonna say, because the last 4, okay, I really liked 3 of them, and then the last one, I could kind of see where it was going, and things didn't quite work out for me, but I could see the potential, and I admired the concept. This one, it's just nothing. I'll probably make an overall series review, and I'll rank all the episodes and all that kind of lovely stuff once we've had the New Year special in a few weeks. But yeah, just looking at Chris Chibnall's 5 episodes, he pretty much sticks to the same pattern that he's had with all of his previous contributions to Doctor Who, i.e., 42, The Hungry Earth, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, The Power of Three. They're all fine. There aren't any disasters, but there aren't any brilliant episodes either, and we're now 10 episodes into his run, and they range from average to below average. They're competently written, but just kind of uninspired. Really, I'd say that I think that Chris Chibnall, when he comes back for the next series, I would like him to take a more classic series showrunner approach. John Nathan Turner was showrunner for 9 years and never wrote a single episode. Do something like that. You don't need to write episodes. He's clearly good at getting writers who have some really good ideas. He's good at bringing the concepts and the overall picture of the series, so he should just do that. And not bother writing episodes when they're just going to end up worse than the ones written by other people. The whole head writer thing, it worked for Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat because they were really good writers. Like, if you look at the first 10 episodes Chris Chibnall has written for Doctor Who, they're all average. The first 10 episodes Russell T Davies wrote for Doctor Who were probably not as good as some of the later ones, apart from The Parting of the Ways, but they still kind of had a lot more going on than any of Chibnall's. And as for Moffat, well, the first 10 episodes he wrote, you got The Empty Child, Blink, The Silence in the Library, The 11th Hour, some wonderful episodes in there. But yeah, I just think that they just had a lot more creative flair in terms of writing. And they could come up with phenomenal Doctor Who stories. And I'm just not sure Chris Chibnall is capable of that, because the only really good ones in this series have been written by other people. I guess we'll see in the New Year special if he's got anything more interesting that he's come up with, but for now, yeah, I'm kind of finishing this series on a bit of a sour note, despite things picking up mostly in the second half. That's all I've got to say about the Battle of Ranskoor av Kolos. What did you think of it? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below the video. And while you're down there, please like this video if you did. And if you liked it, then check out my other videos and subscribe to this channel. And as always, thank you for watching.